Hello there, welcome once again with me, Devendra Subedi. In this show today, we'll be talking about Nepal's tourism and culture, and from the eye of an American team who has been working here in Nepal in a special project through Wongchhu Sherpa Memorial Foundation that has been working on a hospital for the needy in Solukhumbu district. We have a pleasure of having with us in our studio today Michael McLaughlin, one of the authors of Musa Masala. A very interesting book, Michael. How come the concept of Musa Masala? What exactly is this Musa Masala?
Right. Musa Masala is the idea of this small girl. The book is about a small orphan girl who travels from her home of Namche Bazaar. She goes up to Everest Base Camp, and on her adventure, she finds kind of meaning in her life. She goes through the different stages of the Sherpa, from being a porter to working in the kitchen to an assistant guide, and then eventually further up the road she will become a mountain guide. It follows part of the lifelong journey of Wongchhu Sherpa, who was the inspiration to us to start this entire project. And with the way that Wongchhu led his life, it was very inspiring for us to try and do something to give back to him.
Well, not a very interesting, let's say, narrative, not a very new narrative as well, not a very compelling narrative, I would say, from the literary point of view. But still, there's a mission in this book, right?
Yes. Most of this book was written above 17,000 feet, so that might be why it's a little strange a little bit sometimes. But the basic idea was to take the journey of this young girl, and as she's going to these different places, tell a little story about the places that she's at. So we have sections on Tenboche Monastery and on Namche. We have sections on Everest DR, which was where our group was headed to when we originally met in 2016.
So this book now, as I can show my viewers the book, this is called Musa Masala. You might find this interesting. The lead character of this book is Musa. That's where Musa comes from. What about Masala?
Masala was just a mix. She's a mixture of many different things.
Exactly.
She's this precocious young girl who doesn't know quite where to go with herself, who finds through her journey that she gets direction, and she's helped along the way by some really significant people as well.
Well, another interesting thing that I found in this book, as you go through it, look at this is illustration. This is the lead character, Musa, right? Now, what you have done in this book is used illustration along with narrative. That is purely fictitious, is it?
It's a fiction story. It's a little bit based on Wongchu's life.
Yeah.
Our illustrator, her name is Julie Ramirez.
Yeah.
And Julie was the one who created all of these amazing illustrations. We started out with basically stick figures that we were doing in base camp. Myself and Tatiana Haverluk, who was one of the doctors at Everest DR in 2016. We did most of this up at base camp, the original ideas and the original plans for the book. And you can see how Julie just made it all come alive.
Some of really interesting illustrations like this that represents the Himalayan culture of Nepal.
Exactly, yeah. That's the inside of the Tenboche Monastery. And when we just were up there last week, and we literally we couldn't go inside the monastery to take those pictures, but from the outside, we took pictures from the book and put it up next to the actual site, and you could see how they line up, and it was really beautiful. It was to see it come to life. We've spent about a year and a half on this project. So.
Well, if you want to go through this book, you can finish it in 15 minutes, I tell you. But as I said, the mission inside the book is more important than the book itself. The mission is to establish a hospital for the needy people in Solukhumbu district, inspired by the life and then the works of Wongchhu Sherpa, who was the then president of Everest Summiteers Association and a leading, let's say, entrepreneur in tourism sector. Well, what inspired you to join in his mission? Because that was the mission he started himself.
Exactly, yeah. Wongchhu started the hospital project in around 2008 to bring healthcare to the village of Changba and the surrounding area down there. What really inspired us was we were on a Wilderness Medical Society trip to go up to Everest Base Camp, where we would leave the doctors who were working at Everest DR. Everest DR was founded in 2003 by Dr. Luann Freer, and now is run by the Himalayan Rescue Association. With Dr. Freer, our guide from Peak Promotions, Wongchu's company, was Wongchhu Sherpa, his nephew. And they spent so much time telling us stories about Wongchhu, his life, his ability to give back to his village, his instead of just kind of keeping it all in a pile for himself, spreading it around, bringing hydroelectric power to his village, bringing a school to his village. Just a fascinating man who didn't let things get in his way and was able to be very successful, very humble, and create a following of people who just truly loved him.
So this is purely a case of a Nepali, let's say, selfless guy called Wongchhu Sherpa, inspiring a team of medics who had arrived in a mission for the different, let's say, camps he sets up for the people of Solukhumbu. That's where the story begins.
That's where it came from. And our vision was, how can we kind of create some sort of thing that's going to give back to this hospital project? So we originally came up with the idea for the book. The actual kernel of the idea was, I was in a tea house in Fereche sleeping, and a mouse started running all over my head all night long. So that's where Musa originally came from. It actually came from a mouse that was creeping around on my head one night.
You are an avid climber, as you said earlier to me, and a trekker. You love. Did you find writing easy, or trekking, or climbing?
I would say the writing. The beauty of this book is it's mostly illustrated, so there's not a whole lot of writing. And but the writing that is there, we spent a lot of time on it. And then my wife, August, back in the United States, she's an actual writer, and she helped us to form it into a real story. We had a great outline, and we wrote out several different drafts. And then she sort of took it and made it into probably a more readable text for everyone.
So, how often do you come to Nepal, or for this mission only you come, or for example, climbing trips or another, let's say, adventurous trips also you come quite often here?
I've been coming for the Wilderness Medical Society trips. I came for the Everest Base Camp trek, and then 2 years ago when the hospital was first breaking ground, I came for that, and I traveled down to Changba. And the amazing opportunity that I've had is to be able to see the high mountains of the Himalaya, but then go down to the lower Solukhumbu area and see the villages, and it's very quiet, and you don't have all, the Westerners. It's not these big lines and stuff. So you have a beautiful, relaxed sort of area. So you really see a lot more of the country, and I just feel immensely fortunate that I've run into these people that have allowed me to sort of grow my life.
Well, you have been to Solukhumbu quite often now. What's
3 times.
your impression of the life there and the people, the hardships that they live in through, and the conditions there? What's your impression of it?
I would like to say that if you were able to add just a few things like this hospital with healthcare, where people can safely have their babies, and the babies can be safely checked up under a situation where they don't have to travel all the way to Kathmandu, which is 8-hour bus ride, 8 to 10-hour bus ride, you will do amazing things. You combine that with the education that is now being afforded into Kamding and Changba School, and the areas that I'm more familiar with, and you have opportunity. You've turned things around. If you have healthcare and education, you've turned it around.
What are the infrastructures? For example, it's pretty connectivity is another issue in these remote areas, isn't it? You have to either trek or take a flight or charter a helicopter.
Yeah, not everybody can do that. So one of the things Wongchhu also did was he created, I think, the first road through that area. So there is a travelable road that goes directly to the hospital, and I think rings that lower area of the Solukhumbu there. So it's he created the ability for people to move around a lot easier.
So when you come for these, let's say, these missions, and when you came up with the concept of this book, now, how is this book? As I said earlier, if you just sit down to read here, you'll finish it in 15 minutes. If you want reading, there's nothing much to read. It's not a very compelling illustrative, the narrative that will compel to read this book. How is this book going to help in the construction of that hospital? What are your plans about this book?
Two things, really. One is bringing publicity to the project. Here I am, So it's going to give people the opportunity to see that something is happening, that something has been created to help this project. The second thing really is just simply the funding from this book. Whatever money we make
from the sales of this book.
From the sales of this book, go directly to the Wongchhu Sherpa Memorial Hospital Foundation.
Well, have you set up this is just the draft, is it the initial one, I think?
Yes, we printed these here in Nepal for our trek and for the presentations that we did here in Kathmandu, in Namche, and also in Tengboche.
So have you set up the price, and have you started any promotional plans of selling it into the market?
Yeah, right now in the United States, we are doing a Kickstarter campaign that is raising money to print the book in the US and in Nepal. The version that we are working on in the United States is a couple steps beyond this because we've gone through several drafts where this was done, okay, we're going to Nepal, let's print something up for everybody so they can see what it's like. So this is the pre-model. The fancy model will be coming out soon. And we also are using...
That means there'll be a fancier model
than
this one.
A little bit fancier, yes, indeed.
Because there's a fundraiser.
This is the first part of the fundraising project. Yeah. So we want to see what it looks like to us, and then what other people will, how people will approach it as well. And as we trekked up through the Everest route, people were very, very excited about it.
So all the proceeds will go to the hospital?
Yes. The only thing that we will be taking money from is the printing of each book. And then the online sales from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everybody, they take their...
So you'll be putting this in Amazon as well?
Yes.
Well, what's your expectations?
I think awareness is the biggest expectation.
What about the financial one?
Yeah, I think totally depends on where we get it to. Totally depends on how many people we get it to. We go to different medical conferences and we go to different organizations and meetings, and so we have many different avenues. We're looking at getting it into mountaineering shops, getting it to people who are interested in this sort of activity. People who have come to Nepal before, they're incredibly generous. You'll find, I will be at my work and I'll talk to somebody who was in Nepal, and they get so excited about this. They literally want to give back. You have such an amazing country here.
Well, do you expect to sell this in Nepal as well and get some proceeds here?
Yes, at a different price, at a reduced price.
What would be the price like, let's say? What would be the price for
We were selling this for $15 American.
In Nepal?
In Nepal.
Back in the US, what would the price like?
50.
The fancier copy?
$50.
Yeah. And all the proceeds except for the printing and other, let's say, logistic costs of producing this book, I'd say, they would all go to the hospital.
That's correct.
That's a tremendous mission that you are ahead. Now, let's be a bit more pragmatic here. What leads people, in fact, to benevolence like this, sort of act like this? As you said, you're inspired by Wongchhu.
Yeah.
I don't know how closely you worked with Wongchhu, because just one mission or two medical missions, and then you heard about him, and his stories were inspiring.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Sadly, we don't have Wongchhu with us anymore.
I know.
But the legacy continues because you people are there and trying to help. What exactly comes from inside to help in a foreign land? You have come here to help a foreigner's mission. What inspires? I asked about your inspiration, but what really it takes to be that benevolent?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's a long way to get here. It's not just a quick flight.
Yeah.
But like with the Wilderness Medical Society, the group that I've traveled with, Dr. Luan Freer, Dr. Paul Auerbach, and Dr. Eric Johnson, they have been in Nepal for decades, helping the healthcare of the country and setting up these special high-altitude mountaineering clinics to help people. And when you hang out with people like that who have been giving back their entire life, that's very inspiring. I come from Los Angeles. You don't get that all the time there. Let me tell you. So to be around that environment, and then to see the people I'm traveling with who all came over here, and everybody's got a really big heart. So
you're trying to say the company that you are with,
the company
to some extent shapes your...
Yeah, and then the company who facilitates our treks, Wongchhu Peak Promotion. It's really hard to tell you, you feel like you're with a family. You are not only just taken care of, but you feel like they care about you personally. And in my 3 journeys, I feel like now I have this family in Nepal. I have these people who I think I can make a little difference. And if I think I can make a little difference, I think I should try.
That's a great statement you're making. Now, the story had just begun. As I went through this book, Wongchhu just reaches the Everest Base Camp, and a journey starts.
Yeah.
Do we expect more let's say, volumes on the story.
Yes, we're actually working on the second book right now, which will probably take a while. Took a while to do this
Would
one.
you wait till the response of the first book, then go to the second one, or straight away you're moving on to the second one and see how both the books do?
Oh, it'll take a while because we want to do as much as we can with this book for sure. Also, we are spread out all over the United States and Nepal, so it takes a while to get everybody in, to pass it around and get it in line to make it happen.
So there's a network of people who would be also involved in the promotion and sales of this book.
Yes, yeah, but mostly it's our small group.
Okay, small group. Well, I wish you all the best for your next mission, that is now to raise the fund for the hospital. Now let me take you back to let's say Solukhumbu.
Yeah.
Where has the hospital reached now, the construction phase?
It was pretty amazing. I camped out there 2 years ago on the ground, and there was nothing but ground. And now they have the retaining wall going all the way around the entire hillside, and the first 3 buildings are almost completed. They should be completed, the exteriors, by, I believe, the end of February. And then the entire hospital should be, as I'm told, open for business starting November 2019.
That's
pretty
almost the construction is almost coming to a conclusion now.
Yes.
Do you think the people of Solukhumbu, especially the rural folks out there, would be able to afford the medical services there, or it would be free of cost?
From my understanding, it's going to be subsidized by the project itself, and with sometimes residents coming over from the United States, but mostly Nepali staff. And it's supposed to be free to very inexpensive healthcare for everybody there. There's a couple of questions that add to that, is like, how can they get there? So with the road that is now available, it'll be much easier for them to get there. And the idea right now is an ER to stabilize patients, and OBGYN with the pharmacy. Those are the first 3 buildings that are going up. The healthcare issue in that area a lot of times seems to be pregnancy and childbirth. So that's one of the things they really want to cover, to make sure that people are having a chance for good, inexpensive, or free healthcare.
So basically the focus in the first phase would be maternity services and
in ER with a helicopter pad, so you can stabilize somebody, and then if they need to be sent on, then that capability will be there.
Once the hospital is complete, would there be like expert teams like yours, medical teams from US, again coming back and running some camps, special camps in Solukhumbu?
We were talking about that, and it looks like one of the two very important things, dentistry and ophthalmics. So cataracts, Wongchhu Sherpa, who is one of the members of the Himalayan Yogpu Foundation, he was saying that cataracts is one of the big issues out there. So I think that is something that they will get specialists to come out maybe once a month and rotating out through there.
Well, cataract definitely is one of the problems in Nepal, especially in those areas. And one of the areas that Nepal has really done wonders, Nepali doctors, especially Dr. Sanduk Ruit, has been treating a lot of people, more than 100,000 people, almost free of cost. Maybe those services can be taken there for these people.
Absolutely.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, because what's going to be put in there is living quarters as well. So there's a doctor's living quarters that's going up. So you can come to Kamdig, you will have a place to stay, and then you can work right at the same location. So they're really putting it together. It's pretty impressive.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting. Again, I wish you all the best. Now, coming back to the book, what inspired you to gel the combination of illustration with narration now? How come this idea come up?
The original idea of the book was...
you could have just written a novel about, let's say, based on Wongchu's life. You could have created another character. You could have finished a big volume of one volume of a novel, a fictitious novel, something like that. But this is another interesting concept I like, because that also brings in Nepal's culture, Nepal's potential tourist areas, though through illustrations, but that does give a space to those things as well. And you have introduced chapters like what is Losar, what is a special place called Thangboche or Thangboche Monastery. What are these? You have introduced that also. How did this concept come?
Some of the things in the book actually happened to us. We actually did. There's a section in there where we are in Namche and we go and see. We actually went and saw the movie The Caravan, and so that's in the book. And so then we placed the book starting at the Losar Festival. So we wanted to talk about Losar. The idea was to help educate a little bit, give some Nepali cultural, history, a little bit about the food. If you're to travel there, we want to get adults as well as like sort of school-age children who want to be curious about going there, and we can maybe teach you a little bit along the way. We want to be helping culturally, so when you get there, you know a little bit about what you're getting into.
So this, in other ways, also can promote Nepal's tourism.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds pretty interesting as well. Now, how many volumes do you plan if it goes well?
I have plans for 3 at the moment, and then we'll see from there. We're going to follow her path. So the next book takes place. Actually, a lot of it takes place on Amadablam, with a lot of flashbacks where Musa is a junior climber. Junior climbing guide, and she is responsible for people's safety. And then she looks back at the path that she did from when she got on that helicopter at Everest Base Camp.
Why did you switch the gender?
Oh, well, almost all the women I work with in Musa, it's all women. So, but I think the idea of switching the gender was we were inspired by Pasang Lama Akita Sherpa, Maya Sherpa, and Dawa Sherpa, who the 3 women who are very big in Nepal climbing. We wanted to help basically bring some of that out, show that women can get out there and they can climb and they can be very, 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 very a big part of what's happening in Nepal. And then it actually rolled into the person who's now running Wongchhu Peak Promotion, Lakpa Sherpa.
Wongchu's daughter.
Yes, Wongchu's daughter, who is now running the business.
So that shows quite a lot of respect for women in our country as well, which we are also living in a country that is predominantly a patriarchal society. Okay, well, we're talking to Michael McLaughlin, who is one of the authors of a very interesting book called Musa Masala. If you're wondering what Musa Masala is this book. The book is about a young girl who is an orphan. She's mischievous. She has all the antics. She is not, entertained too much by the people for her antics. Sometimes that gets a bit too much. But finally finds her foot in trekking business. As a young girl, she gets into the trade of trekking or tourist guide. And that's where the story starts. The book ends with the story just starting. And this book is being prepared or produced or written, whatever you'd like to say, with illustration to help a very noble cause that is being championed by Wongchhu Sherpa Memorial Foundation that is building a hospital in Solukhumbu district. Well, thank you so much for your time, Michael McLaughlin. I wish you all the best in your mission and look forward to read another volume of this one.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we're talking to Michael McLaughlin, one of the authors of Musa Masala, which, as I just told you, is a very interesting book. Wish you would also contribute from your quarter by grabbing a copy of this, which will hit the market pretty soon. Thank you so much for being with us. Until next time, from all of us here, goodbye. Namaste.